Welcome to a special How It Works with Holger. I got the idea for this episode looking at the Twitter feed and LinkedIn feed from TMS Software. They published a chart that gives you an idea how to approach your next project. And this made me form the title, How to Navigate the Product Jungle from TMS Software. Jungle sometimes has a negative association, but it simply refers to the fact that you have so many options out there that it's sometimes tough to see which is the best approach or how to start. And what they did is they created this great chart that gives you all the different product groups. And TMS really has 4 big product groups indicated by the tiles in this chart. One is VCL, business, the second, the third is FNC, and the fourth is web. And what makes this complicated is that with FNC, you can use VCL, and that is why it became also difficult to approach. And I love this new chart because you can look at it from a completely different angle. So let's get started and see what to focus on really. So your project is at the center of each solution or of each product really. Your project determines which products to use, right? And TMS shows you in this chart what their solutions are. So if your project is a cross-platform app, you go down left. If it is a web client application, you go down right. If you have a Windows desktop application, you go up left. Or if you want to develop something for a server, you go up right. So really, these are the 4 options. And then depending on those options, you get the frameworks or the product categories to look into. So let's start with the obvious one, the Windows application. As you can see, the Windows application implies VCL because the VCL is the #1 framework, my opinion, allegedly, whatever legalese I need to say here. For me, it's the #1 framework to build desktop applications. So, and the VCL you can use either with Delphi or with C++. So if you are a C++ developer and want to develop a Windows application, the VCL, the red tile, is the way to go. So you click on the tmssoftware.com product page on the red VCL tile, and then you see all the products that you can use if this is the product area that you need to develop for. If you, on the other hand, want to develop a server application, which could be a web service, for example, or a web server without services, just the web server delivering web pages, then the business product line, the business tab, what color is it? It's like a cyan blue tile color. Then this is the way to go. Look at the business products. You will find Xdata there. You will find Sparkle there. That's the area of products to go to. And these are available for Delphi. So you can't use C++ for that. I'm sorry. But this is what you need to look into. And then the 2 remaining ones, I'm starting with the easier one, I gotta be honest. The web. If you want to develop web client applications, you have 3 choices with TMS. First of all, you can use Delphi, Red Studio, or you can also use Visual Studio Code, and you can use Lazarus. And that will give you the so-called TMS Web Core framework. TMS Web Core is TMS Software's solution to develop web applications. So everything web, meaning everything that your users can access using the web browser, not needing a Windows application or Windows operating system, that also includes iPhone, iPad, everything. All these devices have a web browser. The iPhone has Safari and also the Chrome application. Everything can be done using web applications. And then this means if you want to develop something like that, look at the web tile and you will find all the products that are designated in that area. And finally, the biggest one of the bunch, TMS offers you a cross-platform framework, which they named FNC. FNC is the acronym for Framework Neutral Components or Controls, but I think components is the correct term they used. So FNC, and this is indicated by all the colors down below, actually gives you components and controls, visual controls, that you can use in any of the other frameworks, meaning FNC supports the VCL, FNC supports the web, FNC supports FireMonkey, and FNC supports Lazarus. So you can go to all these frameworks using FNC controls. You literally use the same control in all of the frameworks, meaning only learning it once and using it in all the frameworks. And because these frameworks, as you just saw, are for different platforms, you can use FNC for true cross-platform development. That's how easy it is. But it's confusing because there is a VCL product tile, there is a web product tile, and there's also the FNC product tile. So what does it mean and what is really the difference? Well, the difference is if you want to develop a web application, you would usually take the VCL. And then you would also have to develop your web application. You would use, hopefully, TMS Web Core. But you would have two different code bases, two different sets of controls, because one would be the VCL framework, the other one would be the special components for TMS Web Core. But guess what? If you replace some or most of the components with FNC, then you only need to develop it once, because the edit control or the planet control that you have in the VCL using the FNC framework is exactly the same control that you can use in the web. So if that is the route you want to go, that you want to develop as well as for the desktop, as well as for the web, look at FNC, and that is the gray tile. And FNC is available for Delphi, Red Studio, Visual Studio Code with TMS Web Core, and this is the major thing, also for Lazarus. Whatever you need, TMS always has your project in mind. That's the main focus. And then you have to decide which route to go. And I won't make any secret of it. The cross-platform app route, of course, is the most complicated because you have to determine which of the code samples can be developed as your business logic without any dependency on any framework. And then the framework dependent things should mostly be moved over to FNC, so that even you have different platforms, you only have to develop it once. And then there might be some forms that have controls that are not included in FNC yet. Then you can use them from the VCL, and then in your web applications, for example, using TMS Web Core specific components. So that's a roundup of this great chart from TMS software, and I hope this explanation made it even much clearer how great this chart is, and let this chart be your guide for your next Delphi project.